Mahodaya, Hari Om Sarvebhyah. Today we have the third session of yoga from Sreeram Babu Mahodaya. We welcome him to VK Satsang. Dhanyawada Mahodaya for taking this session on yoga pranayama practices. Uh, Kindly take over the session. I'll be on mute. Anytime you need me, I'll be here to assist you. Dhanyawada.
Hari Om, everyone, once again. Let us start with Satsanga Yoga. Can somebody chant this for me, please?
Hari Om Mahodaya, I'll chant it. जाड्यं धियो हरति सिञ्चति वाचि सत्यम् मानोन्नतिं दिशति पापमपाकरोति चेतः प्रसादयति दिक्षु तनोति कीर्तिं सत्सङ्गतिः कथय किन्न करोति पुंसाम्.
Then anything about yoga, we start with a prayer to Patanjali. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Namaha Gurave Namaha. In yoga, in the last session, we talked about many practices. There are many practices in yoga, such as asanas, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, and then we talked about shat karma, mudras, right? Several practices of dhyana. According to many teachers, pranayama is probably the most important practice. It leads us to higher levels of practices. Pranayama requires intense concentration and a disciplined approach towards the practice. There are many techniques explained in the classical texts of yoga. But then in daily life, the practitioners like us practice a few essential ones, keeping our health and well-being in mind. So what are those practices and how do they help us? And that is the crux of today's discussion, pranayama for daily life. We will try to first understand what is pranayama and what are the aspects of pranayama. What is the process involved in pranayama initially. And then what is said in the classical texts of yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and Bhiranda Samhita. Not elaborately, but then in brief, very quickly, we'll see what is said there. There are Ashta Kumbhakas, 8 different pranayamas mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Bhiranda Samhita. We're not going to discuss them, but then I would like to show the names to you. And then we get into the actual discussion, pranayama for daily life. This is the book based on which today's discussion is designed. A wonderful dive in read. If at all you want to have something to read and probably practice also, a nice book I would recommend. This book is in such a way that you can imagine Swami Satyananda Saraswati is teaching it right in front of you. While you're reading, you feel that he is teaching you. So, what is pranayama? Simply put, pranayama is two words, prana plus ayama. Prana is not just oxygen we breathe, but then much more than that. It is called life force or vital energy. The transformation it takes after we breathe air in. Ayama is extension or expansion of that breath, that life force. So pranayama is extension or expansion of the dimension of life. Now, how does it happen? We will see as we discuss the practices. What are the four different aspects of pranayama? The first thing is the puraka. We'll first see the words antar kumbhaka, rechaka, bahya kumbhaka. Bahya kumbhaka is sometimes referred to as shunyaka also. What are these things? Puraka is nothing but inhalation. Antar kumbhaka, after inhalation, we retain the air inside using a technique that is antar kumbhaka. Rechaka is simply exhalation. Bahya kumbhaka, the air is outside now and we retain. That means the lungs are empty and then we still retain the air outside. Bahya kumbhaka, very difficult practice, but then can be done by us. Initially, when we start pranayama practice, we focus much on inhalation and exhalation only. We start with that. And then slowly introduce antar kumbhaka. After practicing a certain ratio for a long time, we bring in bahya kumbhaka. So this is not to be done since these four are known to us. This is to be done methodically, slowly. We'll see how to do that also. Now, to imagine how these four aspects are included in the practice. Now, if you see, we start with the lungs empty. We start with empty lungs. We inhale. Once we inhale, lungs are full. And then we retain the air inside, antar kumbhaka, for a certain duration. And then we exhale. And then we retain again. How is it done? The recommended ratio is 1:4:2:2. 1 count of inhalation, 4 counts of retention, 2 counts of exhalation, and then 2 counts of retention again. Just to give, it's not possible to do as to do it in 1 minute, 1 second, or 1 minute also. So if you imagine a certain ratio, 2 seconds of inhalation, 8 seconds of retention, 4 seconds of exhalation, and then again 4 seconds of external retention. To see that visually happening, imagine we start here, lungs empty, inhale for 2 seconds, retain for 8 seconds. It is 8 seconds. Exhale in 4. And then retain in 2. So as we improve our capacity, as we practice more and more, our capacity increases, and we can probably make it 4, 16, 8, and 8. Maybe 5, 20, 10, and 10, like that. So what is said again, before that, this is the mudra we use while performing pranayama, some of the pranayama practices. This is called Nasika Mudra or Pranava Mudra, wherein we hold the point finger and the middle finger and then use the thumb finger to close the right nostril, the little finger and the ring finger to close the left nostril. And when you have to retain, you have to close both nostrils using it. So this is something we should remember. Yeah, pranayama is done in a meditative pose, can be Padmasana, Vajrasana, Swastikasana, or if these are not possible for some of us, Sukhasana is also. Now, there are three bandhas, among which we use Jalandhara bandha for retention. Initially, it can be done without using Jalandhara bandha also. It is more effective when we use Jalandhara bandha. Jalandhara bandha is locking our throat area like this. So when we lock, there is no possibility of movement of air from outside to inside or inside to outside. Especially we do it when we perform the Kumbhaka. Now, an important note of caution. We have to progress gradually to achieve the ratio 1:4:2:2. So how can we start? We initially start only with inhalation and exhalation. We don't perform Kumbhaka at all. We practice this for, say, 1 week or 2 weeks, depending on how your teacher recommends it for you. We need to have a certain stability of the body. The pranayama is recommended only after performing asana. And then we slowly, gradually introduce Kumbhaka. 4 counts of inhalation, 4 counts of retention, 4 counts of exhalation, and then we are still not doing Bahya Kumbhaka. 4:4:4:2. Introduction of Bahya Kumbhaka, but then not for a long duration. 4:4:8:2. Slowly practice slow exhalation. And then 4:8:8:4. So this is how we should gradually increase or move towards the recommended ratio. And what happens if we feel very confident and we all of a sudden we want to make quick progress and we practice in the recommended ratio? It is said in the classical texts, if these practices are not done properly, sarva roga samudbhava. These things bring in all possible diseases, illnesses, especially lung related. We don't want to face it, right? So the progress has to be gradual, right? We'll talk about this again. Now, what is said about pranayama in the texts? We'll do this very quickly. I just want to introduce some of these things to you, very important aspects. That's the reason these are being discussed. Now, this is the definition of pranayama as said in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Tasmin sati shwasa prashwasayor gati vichchedaha pranayama. That is controlling the motion of exhalation and inhalation once we master or practice asanas. So in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, without saying also, Sage Patanjali is talking about Kumbhaka. Because Kumbhaka is the most important aspect of pranayama. It's not inhalation and exhalation that brings us the best results. It is Kumbhaka which actually brings us best results. Right? So again, we should practice Kumbhaka slowly. The benefits of practicing pranayama. Tatakshiyate prakashavarana. So when we practice pranayama, according to the Guru's instructions, the cover over discriminative knowledge is removed or destroyed. So there is knowledge inside of us, or it is acquired with pranayama. That mask over that is removed. Dharanasu cha yogyata manasah. The mind acquires fitness for performing dharana, which is a bridge between Bahiranga yoga and Antaranga yoga. Dharana prepares us to do dhyana and then move towards samadhi. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it is said like this: why one should practice pranayama. Chale vate chalam chittam nischale nischalam bhave. Yogi sthanutvam apnoti tato vayam nirodhaya. When the vital air is moving, the mind is also moving. And when the vital air does not move, the mind also does not move. Mind also achieves stillness. And in order to achieve that steadiness, the yogi should practice pranayama. So what is this again? Again, indirectly, Hatha Yoga Pradipika is also talking about Kumbhaka. And the most important aspect of pranayama. See, some teachers say this. Pranayamaireva sarve prashushyanti mala iti. Acharyanam tu keshanchit anyat karma na sammatam. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Dhirana Samhita, they talked about Shat Karmas, the 6 purificatory techniques. But then some teachers say, if we do pranayama alone, there are no other purificatory techniques are required. So that is the power of pranayama. And it is said in Dhirana Samhita that with pranayama, the sadhaka achieves the lightness of the body. The body floats in the air. It is also said in another sloka, we'll see that. Yasya sadhana matrena devatulyo bhavennara. Just by practicing pranayama, one becomes like a god. I mean, those characteristics are attained with intense practice of pranayama. Now, what is a good time to begin pranayama, rather yoga also? So it is said we should avoid the practice of yoga and pranayama in Hemanta, Shishira, Grishma and Varsha ritus. Hemante, Shishire, Grishme, Varshayam cha ritau tadha yogarabhyam na kurvita hriday yogo hi rogada. If we commence yoga or if we practice rigorously initially in these seasons, it leads to the spread of diseases. But then what are the seasons that are good for commencing yoga? Vasanta and Sharad. Vasante Sharadi Proktam Yogarambham Tamachare. Tadha yogi bhavet siddho rogan mukto bhavet dhruvam. So one who commences practice in spring and autumn seasons. Now this is actually sounds very confusing for some of the practitioners. If it is only 2 seasons, we are talking about only 4 months in a year. Is it only 4 months during which we should commence practicing? We should, of course, continue practicing. Now, there is a clarification given. Each season, though it lasts only for 2 months, it is experienced in a duration of 4 months. So, from Magha to Vaishakha, January to April, spring is experienced. So, we can commence in these months. From Bhadrapada to Margashira, August to November, autumn is experienced. So we can commence our practice during these months too. With that said, is it not recommended to commence at all in other seasons? Well, there is a clarification given. We can commence, but then we should gradually improve our practice. We should gradually improve. Maybe we should not do intense beginning in other seasons, right? And this is another important aspect. In the Garanda Samhita, it is said, Uttama Vinshatir Matra, Shodasi Matra, Madhyama, Adhama Dvadashi Matra, Pranayama, Vidhasmita. So this pranayama is divided into again three types: Uttama, Madhyama, and Adhama. These 20 counts is 20 counts of inhalation. Approximately, we can say 20 seconds of inhalation, which means we're talking about 20-80-40 ratio. 20 counts of inhalation, 80 counts of retention, and 40 counts of exhalation. This is Uttama pranayama. Madhyama pranayama is 16-64-32. Adhama pranayama is 12-48-24. Just because it is said adhama, it does not mean it is useless. Even doing adhama type of pranayama is very difficult for the beginner. So we should gradually move towards adhama pranayama and then towards madhyama pranayama and then towards uttama type of pranayama, which takes a long time, right? And what happens when we practice pranayama? Again, adhamadhyayate dharmo meru kampascha madhyamad uttamacha bhumityagaha trividham siddhi lakshanam. So with adhama pranayama, the heat increases in the body and you experience a lot of sweating. We sweat even with 6 counts of inhalation, 24 counts of retention, 12 counts of exhalation also. If you practice for 5 minutes, we sweat even then. And with medium pranayama, 16 counts of inhalation, vibrations start happening in the spinal cord, in the whole body. And with the best pranayama, the body of the yogi starts rising above the body. We heard in Tirupati there used to be a yoga teacher at Sri Padmavati Mahila University. We used to hear that the teacher used to float in the air. We never happened to see her. Unfortunately, that time we were not much into yoga, unfortunately. We should have met the yogini. Now, what are these Ashta Kumbhakas? There are 8 pranayama techniques discussed by Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Surya Vedana, Ujjayi, Shetikari, Shitali, Bhasrika, Brahmari, Mocha, and Plavani, among which we will talk about the first 6 today. Mocha and Plavani are regularly practiced on a daily basis by most sadhakas. And in Bhairanda Samhita, we have a different 8 set. Sahita, Surya Veda, Ujjayi, Shitali, Bhasrika, Brahmari, Mocha, and Kevali. Again, we among these we talk about Surya Veda, Ujjayi, Shitali, Bhasrika, and Brahmari. Now coming to our actual topic, pranayama for daily life. There are preparatory breathing practices that should be practiced and mastered before commencing pranayama. Now, what are these? If you observe the way we breathe, our breathing is very shallow. Probably we go to the upper parts of lungs, our breathing reaches upper parts of lungs. With intention, we breathe fully. Right? We fill the lungs and then we fill the stomach also when we breathe. Now, what are the recommended preparatory breathing practices? The first one is abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing. So when we breathe, slowly fill the abdomen. Make sure the air passes into the abdomen. When you do so, you feel the expansion of our abdomen outwards. When you inhale, the abdomen expands outwards. And when you exhale, abdomen contracts. That is abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. Now, there is another one, thoracic breathing. This is thoracic area. In thoracic breathing, you consciously fill the lungs. Our focus is not abdomen now. You feel the expansion of rib cage, expansion of chest, right? Focus on that and make sure you inhale in such a way that the rib cage expands and lungs also expand. That is thoracic. And the other one, clavicular. Clavicular breathing, we do thoracic breathing first, and then breathe a little more so that this is the clavicle area. The body slightly, the chest slightly moves upwards. See, the clavicle area also moves upwards. I'm not raising it consciously, but then because of breathing, the clavicle area is right. That is clavicular. So imagine that pictorially. In abdominal breathing, the abdomen expands and contracts. In thoracic breathing, the chest expands and contracts. In clavicular breathing, it is a combination of thoracic breathing and we extend it a little more so that the clavicle also expands. Combining all three is yogic breathing. So we fill the stomach and then we fill the lungs and then we breathe a little more so that the clavicle also expands. So the abdomen expands, the chest expands, and then clavicle moves up. This is yogic breathing. While practicing pranayama, we perform yogic breathing. But then in most pranayama techniques, we focus only on abdominal and thoracic breathing. We later drop clavicular breathing. Well, that is what is suggested by Swami Satyananda Saraswati. Right? If we do clavicular breathing, it is fantastic, it is good. But then you can focus only on abdominal and thoracic, that is enough. Now, there is another one, deep breathing, which is suggested by one of our gurus. It is again yogic breathing, but then practicing it in a certain ratio. Right? Breathe in, counting, say 4 or 5 initially, depending on your capacity. You know your capacity when you breathe, when you deep breathe, you know your capacity. So breathe for 4 seconds and then slowly exhale for 4 seconds. Slowly. And when you practice it, maybe for a week, your capacity improves. And then you can make it 5, 5 or 6, 6. 6 is to 6. 6 counts of inhalation and then 6 counts of exhalation. Deep breathing also brings in lots of benefits. Deep breathing is especially helpful when you're in a stressful situation. You might have observed many people suggest breathe deeply and then exhale slowly. That brings down the respiratory rate, brings down the heart rate, obviously brings down blood pressure, brings stress also down, relaxes the body. So just by doing deep breathing in a certain ratio, we can avail of the benefits of pranayama. So once these techniques are mastered, we can go practice some of the pranayama practices. These are commonly practiced pranayama techniques. Nadi Shodhana, the purification of nadis, balancing pranayama, Surya Vedana, Ujjayi, Shitali, Shitkari, Brahmari, Bhastrika, and Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati is not actually a pranayama. It is a cleansing technique according to texts, but then it is taught and practiced along with pranayama. Let us see these one after another, and let us also take a look at the benefits these pranayama techniques bring. Nadi Shodhana. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Bhirinda Samhita, it is said that we should practice Nadi Shodhana first before practicing other pranayama techniques. So we should remove the blockages from nadis and then go for other practices. So how is it done? Nadi Shodhana is also called Anulom Viloma. There is a difference between Anulom Viloma and Nadi Shodhana. Anuloma Viloma is simply inhalation and exhalation without Kumbhaka. Nadi Shodhana is with Kumbhaka. So we can probably start with Anuloma Viloma and then slowly move towards the ratio 1:4:2:2. So how is this done? Nadi Shodhana. Alternate nostril breathing. We start breathing from left nostril. Inhale from left. Exhale through right. And then inhale through right. Exhale through left. That is one cycle. So we can start with, say, 5 cycles initially. And if your body permits, slowly increase the number to 9 cycles. And then to 12, 15, and so on. And slowly we can introduce the ratio, the Kumbhakas, according to the instructions of the teacher. If you read this book, if you go through this book, it is as good as Swami Satyananda Saraswati teaching us. If you are confident, you can use the contents of the book also to practice. But then it is recommended to take the help of the teacher. Now, how do we do that? I'll quickly show that to you. We inhale first. Eyes closed. I'm keeping my eyes open just to show you how we do this. We inhale first, close the right nostril, exhale to left. Now we are ready to commence Anuloma Viloma or Nadi Shodhana. Inhale to left. Close the left with ring finger and little finger. Open the right. Exhale to right. Now inhale to right. Close the right nostril and exhale to left. That is one cycle of Anuloma. It is to be done in the same ratio your teacher tells you to do. Slowly we introduce Bandha. How do we perform Antar Kumbhaka, Jalandhara Bandha, using Jalandhara? This is how we do it. Inhale, close both the nostrils, there. So that is how we do that. I hope you were able to see me performing Jalandhara Bandha. Right? That is how it is. Very important and essential pranayama technique. And the most important very interesting thing about this pranayama technique is that there is no contraindication. Everybody can practice this pranayama, except that people with high BP and heart-related problems should not perform Kumbhaka. Without Kumbhaka, anybody can do this. So what are the benefits? First thing, as the name suggests, it removes blockages from nadis and removes the toxins out. It balances right and left vein. We're using both the nostrils, so it balances both the veins. calms the mind, reduces stress and depression. Very good for diabetes, migraine, headache, insomnia, asthma, and neurological problems also. Very important pranayama. And everybody can include this as part of their yoga practice. Surya Vedana. Surya Vedana is the heat generating pranayama. Obviously, when generation is done, it is not actually entirely relaxing. It stimulates certain parts of the body. Um, Actually, yoga is all about stimulation of parasympathetic nervous system, which induces calmness and um, what rest. But then this pranayama stimulates sympathetic nervous system, which um, energizes the body, heats the body, useful in fat burning also. Now, how is this done? You may have heard there is Surya Nadi and Chandra Nadi, Ida, Pingala and Ida. When they're associated with our nostrils. Surya Vedana is also called right nostril breathing. We inhale through right and then exhale through left nostril. We again inhale through right and exhale through left. Inhalation through right nostril and then exhalation through left nostril. That is one cycle. Again inhale through right, exhale through left. This can also be done by many, but then since it is energizing pranayama, it increases heart rate. Because of that, people with high blood pressure and heart problems should not perform it. It stimulates digestive processes, digestive juices are secreted in high quantities. Due to that, if at all somebody is suffering from ulcer or acidity, they should also be not practicing it. People with headache, menstruation, ladies during menstruation should not practice this, right? Yeah, there is Chandra Vedana Pranayama that is taught to us by one of our teachers. Chandra Vedana is exactly the opposite kind of pranayama. Uh, it cools the body. We inhale through left nostril and then exhale through right nostril. Inhalation through left and then exhalation through right. But then surprisingly, it is not discussed in most of the texts. Ujjayi, another important pranayama. It generates heat in the throat and fights asthma, cold, bile, phlegm issues. Very good for thyroid. Thyroid is somewhere here, right? And because of the way it is done, it is good for the vocal cord. Obviously, good for features and fingers. It tackles migraine and insomnia. Now, how is this done? There is this glottis area inside our throat. We contract that a little bit. When you contract and then inhale, you inhale, not of course, the air passes through the nose, but then you use your throat to suck the air, inhale, right? So contract here somewhere inside. We don't use any, use our hand to contract. We simply do it like this. Some of you might hear the sound that is being made because of the contraction. Sound is made here, not here. The sound is coming out because of the contraction of the throat. It may not happen initially for many of us, but certainly with practice, we can achieve that. Right. So it fights asthma, cold, and violent phlegm, as it is shown. Very important pranayama. Since it generates heat again, since it increases the heart rate, the people with high blood pressure and heart problem should not be doing them. Young children, elderly people, pregnant people should practice under expert guidance. One of our teachers said, if we practice Ujjayi, we Ujjayi can be practiced. There is a different way too. You inhale by contracting the glottis, close the right nostril, use the same mudra, close the right nostril, exhale through left. There's another way. If Kumbhaka is also applied as part of Ujjayi in the suggested ratio, 1:4:2, it is possible for people to burn their fat. This is one of the practices that can help people to lose weight. If no other practice helps, our teacher said, this practice certainly helps. So I'm trying. I also intend to lose my weight a little bit or a lot. So I'm also employing, but it takes time to achieve success. Shitali is a cooling pranayama. If you look at the picture, we roll the tongue and then inhale through the rolled tongue, and then close the mouth, exhale through nose. As simple as that. Inhale through rolled tongue, and then exhale through nose. So this is one of the two cooling pranayamas we have, very effective in cooling the body. In summers, one can perform this. We should avoid this in cold seasons. Very effective in tackling hyperacidity and ulcers. It helps soothing nervous and endocrine systems. Brings in calmness into the body by activating parasympathetic nervous system. So if somebody has cold, cough, and asthma, body already has this cold, so they should not practice it. Again, young children, elderly people, pregnant people should practice under expert guidance. Sheetkari is a similar pranayama cooling effect, but then in Sheetkari, we inhale through teeth like this. There's a sheet kind of sound is also made, probably that is the reason it is named the Sheetkari. It also has a cooling effect on the body, and if properly, it has same advantages of Sheetali. If this is practiced well, one can overcome thirst, hunger, sleep, and laziness. And it is said in the text that yogi becomes like a Kamadeva, god of love. Similar to Sheetali, in cold seasons, they should be avoided. People with cold, cough and asthma should avoid this. And in children, elderly people, pregnant people should consult the teacher. We then have Brahmari. Very important. Again, another important pranayama technique. Very good for vocal cavities and improving the speech quality. Good for teachers who speak a lot. Obviously, it relaxes the body, tackles stress, anxiety, and depression. It is said in the text that success in Brahmari can also lead to Samadhi. Like ultimate, it leads to a state of this Chidananda Leela. And very important thing, when it is done correctly, it brings us all these benefits. When it is done incorrectly, it can invite all the diseases. How is it done? We use Shanmukhi Mudra. Shanmukhi Mudra. In Shanmukhi Mudra, we close our ear cavities with thumb fingers. We point finger is on the eyelids, middle finger touching the nose, not closing, but just simply touching. Ring finger on the upper lip, little finger on the lower lip, which is Shanmukhi Mudra. In Shanmukhi Mudra, we inhale, and then while exhaling, we make the sound of the female bee sound. If this is not possible, some of us, we can try the second Ardhamatra of Om chanting. This is during exhalation. As simple as that. Right? Now, this brings so many benefits, actually. Now, finally, there are two more, Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati is a cleansing technique, but then is treated as pranayama technique by many teachers and taught along with pranayama. Kapalabhati involves rapid exhalations. Rapid exhalation. Focus is on exhaling, rapid exhalation. And inhalation takes place automatically. Between two exhalations, inhalation takes place automatically. How is it done? Simply focus on exhaling. See, there is no focus on inhaling at all. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Start slowly, and then with practice, one can increase the number of counts in a minute. In a minute, if one can do 60 to 100 rapid exhalations, that is performing Kapalabhati very well. 100 is the count recommended by teachers. But then we start slow, start with 30, and then slowly improve. We don't even start with 30 at a stretch. We do 10, take a few normal breathings, and then 10 rapid exhalations again, take a few normal breathings, and then 10 rapid exhalations. And this is how we should approach initially. And slowly we increase it to 15, rest, and then 15, rest, and then 15. Then to 20, 20, 20. That's how we should slowly progress. Since there is a rapid exhalation, it strengthens the muscles of respiratory system. Obviously, clears the air passage due to rapid force, purifies the respiratory system, purifies lungs, increases the efficiency of lungs. And that said, we should not overdo it. If we overdo it, lungs get tired. I felt it a few times. Overdoing leads to tiring of lungs. It obviously increases the supply of oxygen in the blood. Since there is these rapid exhalations, our entire mind focuses only on that. There won't be any distraction at all. Generates heat in the body, obviously leads to improved digestion and improved metabolism. And repeated practice, of course, brings a state of lightness and clarity. In fact, you can feel it when you practice Kapalabhati. That day when you're walking, you feel light. Since this is a heat generating pranayama technique, or say heat generating purification technique, people with heart problems or high blood pressure should not practice it. Right? People with lung issues or recent surgery, abdominal surgery especially, should not do also. Somebody who has experienced a stroke or vertigo, epilepsy, should not practice this also. And this should be avoided during pregnancy and menstruation because the rapid force we are using. Now the last one is Bhastrika. We talked about Kapalabhati initially because it involves only rapid exhalations. Bhastrika involves rapid inhalations as well as rapid exhalations. Inhale rapidly and then exhale also rapidly. Again, this also generates heat in the body, too much heat in the body because of rapid inhalation and exhalation. And because of this rapid movement of air clears the air passages. Massage to chest area improves the circulatory digestive systems. Right, and helpful when there is cold, but then if you have energy, you better do it only when you have energy to do this. That brings calmness to the body, improves circulation, obviously, to the heart and lungs. As I said, it generates too much heat in the body because of rapid force we use. People with high BP and heart disease should not do this. People who have undergone recent surgery or experienced a stroke, people with eye problems, epilepsy, ulcer, acidity, headache, vertigo, or menstruation should avoid this. So I know it has been too quick. I haven't involved you people because I know all this needs to be discussed and it takes time. So sorry that I did not involve you. We're done. I'll chant the closing prayer and then we'll have questions. Om सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Hari Om. Any questions?
Dhanyavada, Mahodaya.
Abhijit Mahoday, has it been very fast? You're too quick.
No, Mahodaya, it was good. You have given practical demonstrations of the pranayama, different types of pranayamas, where it was very insightful. Thank you so much for taking out